Welcome. Welcome to Indigenous Peoples Day. Yeah! Welcome to Indigenous Peoples Day. There was a time that we could not say that. There was a time that I couldn't hold sage like this. It was outlawed. There was a time that I couldn't burn sage or use my tobacco. So we've come a long way. We still have a lot of work to do. For instance, what's up with the downtown businesses having Columbus Day sales? Yeah, this is Indigenous Peoples Day, proclaimed by our mayor. So one of the businesses should be the first on the block to get on board with us. I'm going to start out with a small prayer. And just because it's Indigenous Peoples Day and we can do that now. And it's wonderful to feel this kind of freedom. At one point, we didn't even, something called the Doctrine of Discovery, did not even see us as human beings. So we're so glad you're all here to join in on this celebration with us. I'm just going to basically say miigwech for this wonderful day. And every day should be Indigenous Peoples Day, really. But miigwech for this day that's proclaimed officially Indigenous Peoples Day. So I'm just going to start out like that, and then we'll get along on our agenda. Oni duo dapana sema, makademi ban Anishinaabe Indigenous cause. Miigwech wabanun, miigwech shawanun, miigwech ningabianun, miigwech biwedanun. Ambe oma, wabama, Anishinaabe. We do call all Anishinaabe. Nuna bamadisi hen. Miigwech ejituya bamadisi. Nagakea. So I'm just basically saying miigwech for this day to watch over all of you, help us as the Anishinaabe people Nugoom today. Miigwech. Cheyenne. We did have a hand drummer that was supposed to be here and maybe still will show up. You're a hand drummer? Oh, there you are. Come on up. Very well. But you're after. This is Sean Carr holding the Duluth Eagle staff, Civic Center staff. Michael Norcross, hand drummer. And Cheyenne Smallville will be singing an honor song as well. Michael is requesting that we do a tobacco song and everybody get a small pinch of tobacco. Okay. Everybody wants to, people want to take a little small pinch of tobacco. because he's talking about how tobacco leads us. How that's the first thing we do, is we always have our tobacco. We're going to read the proclamation, and then we'll have one more honor song, and we have a few speakers.
Whereas for many years, the second Monday in October has been recognized as Columbus Day, with little or no regards for the indigenous peoples who were already here when Columbus arrived.
Okay, whereas the lore and legend of Columbus Day do not accurately reflect what happened to those indigenous peoples and the fate they collectively suffered.
Whereas it is important that citizens of Duluth know, understand, and honor the history of our indigenous population.
Whereas some of that history being that the shores of Lake Superior, upon which Duluth sits, was once home of an entire Anishinaabe village. The city of Duluth is grateful of these indigenous peoples and extends its acknowledgement for sacrifices made that all other population could enjoy the beauty and riches of the Lake Superior Basin City.
Now, therefore, I, Carl Crawford, Human Rights Officer of the City of Duluth, humbly standing in for Mayor Larson, the City of Duluth do officially proclaim October 9th, 2017 as Indigenous People Day in the City of Duluth.
Okay, we're going to have another honor song from one of our future generations here. It's always good to have our older ones, our elders, and our younger ones. She's going to sing an honor song. She has a beautiful voice, so if you're stressed out, you won't be after she sings. Very healing. It's very healing. That's the beauty of our culture. It's so healing. We have something for everything. We're going to move into, we have a few speakers, and I'll have them introduce themselves, but the first one is Larry Hetty.
Under 10 minutes, I'm told. I'm Larry Hetty. I'm on the Duluth Indigenous Commission. This is my first year on the commission, and I'm really proud to be part of this group of people. The commission is, it's our job to inform and advise. We don't have any political power unto ourselves, but it's our job to inform the mayor, the city council, the administration of those things that affect the indigenous community and of those things that are important to the indigenous community. And that's part of how and why we have a resolution such as was read earlier. I was asked earlier today why Indigenous Peoples Day is important. And for me, it does two things. It speaks to healing. So there's a great importance to healing the divide and healing the wounds of history that divide the native from the non-native public. And I think this is one of the ways we do that. The second reason it's important is because it tells the truth about history. A lot of us were taught back in the 50s and the 60s what amounts to fairy tales. And these fairy tales about who Indians are and were, about who African Americans are and were, about the dominant society, the role it plays in manifest destiny. All these things are fairy tales we were taught in school. And to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day is to honor the true history of North America, which is the history of the indigenous people that are here. If you think about it, our people have been here for, what, over 500 generations, we know for sure. That's a long time. And to say that our history began in 1492 is to deny 500 generations of history. So that's what's important to me. The other thing I want to do is, well, first of all, I didn't introduce myself as who I am Indigenous, in the Indigenous community. My name is Cochimin Kleno. I'm Pakuanko Lenape, which means I'm a member of the Delaware Tribe of Indians, which is not a local tribe or band. It's one of the removed tribes from the east that now resides in Oklahoma. That's where my tribe is. And, but I settled here in Duluth with my family and love it here and plan to stay here. The Duluth Indigenous Commission is committed to several things we're doing right now. And one of them is about the indigenous identity of Duluth. And if you go to Ketchikan, or you go to Seattle, or you go to Santa Fe, or to Albuquerque, you know you're in Indian country. You just know it. I mean, the words are there, the art is there. And we don't get that feeling here in Duluth. And that's not Duluth's fault. That's the fault of those of us who are indigenous. We need to elevate our profile so people know who we are, who this indigenous community is. The art, the music. You heard some of the talent already. We need to make sure that when people come to the city of Duluth, they know they're in Indian country, because they are. Anishinaabe Indian country. That's what this is. So the Duluth Indigenous Commission is working on several projects. One is the renaming of one of the parks close to here, and there'll be more about that later. We're embarking on a language project so that we can have native signage in Ojibwe-Moan, the local language, the native language here. Education, we're working on, there's a really depressing disparity and our education achievement. The Native students, only 37% of Native students in this city graduate. 37%. I get emotional about that. And that's something that the Duluth Indigenous Commission wants to deal with head on. We want to meet it face to face. The other issue that we're dealing with is the opioid epidemic that affects us all. This is not an indigenous issue, it's not a native issue. But it seems like when these things happen to the community, they happen that much more in the native community. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a little bit of what the commission is doing, and I'll hand it off from there. Beth?
My name's Babette Salmon. I have a terrible time introducing myself. I always just walk up and start talking, and I'm working on that. But my name's Babette Salmon, White Earth Band of Ojibwe. I'm from here, and I'm one of the traditional elders in this community, and I'm an organizer. So, and I love it. I love my community. I think it's true that we need to step up and make this happen, but I think we finally have an administration where we can make this happen. The time is now. And I wanted to add just one thing that I always say to the Indigenous Commission, on the chair of the Indigenous Commission, is there's no other commission like this that I know of in the United States that has an Indigenous Commission right in the City Hall. So that's pretty cool about us. We're a pretty cool city. We're going to go to our next speaker, but I feel funny just bypassing Sean. Maybe you want to hear.
I'm Sean Carr, and I'm carrying the Duluth Civic staff for the people of Duluth.
Okay, we're going to go to our next speaker. We have two speakers. Our third one is sick today, has bronchitis, so she wasn't able to come. But we have our next speaker here, and I'll let her introduce herself. Sheila Lamb.
Bonjour. Sheila Indigenous Kajaganashimong. Anangu Kwe and Dugu Ojibwemong. Mingan and Dudame. Gawababi Ganakug and Dunjabai Dash Nagachiwanong. Hello, my name is Sheila Lamb. My family is originally from White Earth, and I've been part of the Fond du Lac community for just about 20 years now, and have Fond du Lac children. And I'm Wolf Clan. I'm also part of Indigenous People Circle here in Duluth, and Mayangan Prayer and Cultural Aki. And it's an honor to be here today. And I spent the morning thinking of our ancestors, what it was like for them before these buildings and this concrete were here, the respect and the love they had for the land and for each other, and what got us to where we are today through the boarding schools, through assimilation and colonization. And today we still fight multi-generational historical trauma among our people, which leads to our drug epidemic, to abuse in our communities, to 3 times the national suicide rate, and to our young women, 13 to 18, being the highest trafficked population. And sometimes I ask why, because it hurts. But I know that through our ceremonies, through our prayers, as we regain our Indigenous languages, and as we stand together in unity, that we will overcome. Because 20 years of colonization, despite many, many attempts at genocide, we are still here. We are here using our language. We are here conducting our ceremonies. But it took us until 1978 just to regain the right to walk our walk. And we're not done. It's through days like this and seeing my brothers and sisters and our allies standing together side by side that we will heal. We will once again stand proudly as Indigenous people, but also we stand humbly. In this day and age, we're fighting still for our existence, but not only ours, for everyone's. Lake Superior is now the dirtiest of the Great Lakes, our beautiful lake. And we fight for her. We fight for Mama Aki, for our Mother Earth, for her lifeblood. And we fight to regain who we are as Indigenous people fully. I look back at Standing Rock and I wondered why, after we were so hurt and so down, it was much more than that pipeline went through. And through prayer and time with the elders, the realization came that we lived as a village. We were in ceremony every single day. And through that, things like our suicide rate dropped. It shows the power of prayer, of ceremonies, and standing together as Indigenous people. But it also shows the importance of our allies in our local communities, because we gain respect and understanding for one another when we have these conversations, when we share a meal together, when we pray together. And we do it for these little ones and for their children and the next 7 generations to come. We don't do it for ourselves. We do it to honor our teachings, our ancestors, our little ones, our elders. And we need to learn again how to fully honor ourselves, especially as Indigenous women, to have that love and respect for the fact that we are life givers. And we need our men to stand strong with us and to have that respect again as well. And we're getting there. We're getting there. But the greatest gift we can give one another is prayer. To stand in that prayer, walk in that prayer, live in that prayer every single day, to greet that sun with our asema, to make our offerings, not just our tobacco, but to feast those who were here before us, to feast our helpers, our names, our way of life. And in doing so, we become stronger. And as an Indigenous community, when we become stronger in places like Duluth, we help the whole community as a whole. We all become stronger. The more we stand united and love and respect each other, the healthier we become as a community. The healthier our walk, the more it spreads out. And that fire that burns in us glows brighter every day. So I ask that you not only honor this beautiful day we're given, but every day in which we can stand together, that we have air to breathe and water to drink, and that you always remember our little ones. Honor our elders, but also never forget to honor yourselves. Miigwech, Mio.
I want to say miigwech to all of you. You know, we've come a long way. I remember in the 1970s, you know, a lot of you didn't like us. And I remember it. It was awful. And none of us said, on White Earth Band of Ojibwe. We didn't say that. You know? I mean, we have really come a long way. I remember that. And now here we are standing together. And I like what Sheila's saying is we need to stand together. We have a lot more work to do. We have a lot of hurting people in this town. And we need to start smiling at each other and reaching out. As a matter of fact, I got one tiny small story. I won't say who it was, but there was somebody that was really sour and really mean at people. But this one girl just kept smiling at her. And she kept looking at her, and she just kept smiling at her, and then now they're really close friends, and it was her smile that did that. There's a lot of hurting people in our community, and a smile goes a long ways, and we need that. So I just say miigwech for coming along with us on this long, long journey, where we can stand here and say, you know, what tribe we're from, and be proud of it, because my dad couldn't do that, and he lived on the streets on First Street here. So We're doing it. We're doing it, Duluth. We're doing it together. I really like the messages today. So is there anybody who would like to say something? Because we have a little time for our community to speak. I don't want you to leave like, darn it, I wish I would have said that. Oh, I just want to say one more thing. I almost forgot. And then you come up, Scott. Our ancestors survived a lot of things where we couldn't, like I said, we could not bring out our tobacco, we could not bring out our sage, we could not say our Indian names, we could not speak our language, shoved into boarding schools. Our elders survived a lot. And that strength, that wisdom is running through all of our children's blood and running through ours. So don't ever think that you can't do it. I tell the kids, I work in the schools, I tell the kids at Lincoln School, I tell them that same thing, and I say, I think you can do that math problem. Because that's the kind of strength that is running through our blood. We're very wise people. Yeah.
Ooh.
I just want to share, I'm Scott, and I just want to share real quickly that I'm just so struck that we care about, or at least our culture is caring about money more than people. I just think we have to really grasp that and how that is undoing us. It's a very simple thing, but it strikes me all the time. I wear this bracelet made of nickels, and it just reminds me I don't have to spend my life chasing money. I have money right here. Now I can work on time to build a relationship with my community and my family and my friends. We have to move beyond just loving our money and putting up with people.
My name is Ron Miller, and I got with Skip Sandman in his run for 8th Congressional District, Minnesota seat, now held by Rick Nolan. And I wrote an essay, and I converted it over to an electoral advertisement that has appeared in the Zenith News. And I don't know how many I made copies of it, but I'm soon to come before the Indigenous community, or Indigenous Commission, and the Human Rights Commission, and introduce it. So I want to make the announcement that the issue is headed up by the Duluth Area Move to Amend, Ending Corporate Personhood. And a 2-page advertisement I placed in the upcoming October 17th Zenith News. I wish you all would get a hold of it, and we can all make Duluth a better place.
Thank you.
The Duluth Indigenous Commission has recently joined Natives Against Heroin. And yeah, and we are going to do this. We are working with the fire chief and the chief of police and Emily Larson, and they're all on board. And so I just want you to know that we're not going to just sit idly by while people die. We're going to try and do something here. Nah. So it's called Nah.
My name is Derek Lacouillet. I'd just like to first of all thank everybody for coming and showing your support for Indigenous Peoples Day. Well, the only thing I got to say is that I'm here representing Natives Against Heroin. I guess I used to be into the trenches, what I call it. And it took me a long time to finally figure things out that where I wasn't working out. So I just got together with some good people, Sabbath, Sandman, Sean Carr, and a few other people, and we're trying to make things better in Duluth because there's lots of different people dying from heroin overdoses, and it's hurting our community bad. Not just Native Americans, but everybody, you know, it hurts every race. Heroin don't, you know, they don't discriminate against anybody. They'll take anybody's life. But all I gotta say is that, you know, some people might look down on other people and see them having a hard time, which I don't. I try to help everybody else that I come in contact with, and that's a lot of the people that live at the Chum or live downtown. I try to guide them and help them and show them that there's a different way of life, and I just try to show them by example because of my life has changed after I decided to make some changes into it. And I just, you know, wish that everybody will get on board with Natives Against Heroin. We're going to be having a meeting Wednesday at the One Roof Housing, 6 p.m. So if anybody can come, you're welcome to come. I just like I said, I just like to thank everybody for coming. Thank you.
My name is Lisa. I'm from Duluth. I'm a water protector. I'd like to thank you all for being here. And what Derek was saying, that we have that really bad in our community. We're losing people so much and all over, not just in our community, but all over. And it breaks my heart. And we need your support and we need your help, so I really wish you guys would jump on the bandwagon with us for Natives Against Heroin, because this just isn't a Native thing, it's an everybody thing. And another thing is I have a lot of compassion for is homeless people, and it breaks my heart that the city of Duluth has taken up all these park benches where they have a place to sit, and chasing them away from where they hang out and either trespass them or something. What they gonna do? Where are they gonna go? You know, it just breaks my heart. I just wanted to get that out there because it bothers me. Big witch.
Hello, my name is Phoebe Davis. This is Rachel King. Hi. I'm from Grand Portage, and I'm from Red Lake. Okay, so we grew up together post the 1979 when we were, you know, allowed to use our items. We were born in the late 70s, so we grew up fancy dancing together. They call it old style now. It was an old style to me, you know. But we saw things where we couldn't call our regalia. What would you have to call them? Costumes. You would call them costumes. There was no way in the time when we were growing up that you could see Babette walking around with a ribbon skirt without absolute scorn. You couldn't see people walking around with beadwork without scorn. I don't know. There was a lot of things over time me and Rachel watched growing up. Rachel going through elementary school was kind of rough here in Duluth as well, you know. Yeah, there's a lot. It's changed a lot. Yeah, better. Oops, for the better. Duluth has changed a lot for the better. It's become more progressive, and we're thankful for that. We're two kids from the late 70s, but you know, we were those little kids that attended something called DIAC meetings way back in the 80s, and we would be all over the place with my Aunt Nora Hackala. We were a small presence. But now we're proud. We're very thankful that things have gone in progressive ways, and just thankful. That's all that we can say. We're just thankful. We're water protectors. We went out, we did our thing, we did what we felt was right, and all those other good things we do in private. Hey? Be good.
Bonjour, I'm Amish Benassi, John Diver from Fond du Lac. I'd like to meet with these brothers for that Native Against Heroin. We're starting a thing out on Fond du Lac Reservation. on this Friday the 13th, when all the natives get their per caps and the dealers try to come sell to our sisters and brothers and families. We're going to do a march and go door to door where we know they're selling heroin, whatever, drugs, and on Tuesday the 24th, I'm going to do a smudge walk through our community. Once again, I do it every month, so I'm just trying to take back our res, our kids, these drug dealers are targeting them all, So, yeah, be good.
That's our warriors. How many of you are warriors in the audience here? Well, we're going to need a lot more than that. You might not know it yet that you're a warrior, but we need to wake up and get out there and help each other and stand up for each other. Do what he's doing. This is a big war we have ahead of us, and I know we have a lot of backing. We're going to move into our travel song to give everybody some good, safe travels back to work for me. Probably a lot of you.
Yeah,